When Maike and Johanna proposed me to write an essay for this book and give a lecture about cantors, I wanted, 5 years after, to focus maybe on this problematic, for me, period of his work that was very famous in France, where I am from, in the 70s and 80s, and sometimes always after, until his death. So I started to sort of focus on this work, The Dead Class from 1975, which is presented here, and try to meditate on what was problematic for me in this work and what interested me or intrigued me in a way. And I think that what was interesting in this was this sort of strangeness, sort of almost aggressive obsolescence, this awkward presence of the past, this sort of dusty eccentricity that first strikes me when I see the work from this period. When I've been asked to reflect on this sort of presence of cantor today, that I should talk about mainly 3 artists. I mean, Mike Kelly is from an older generation, and he was something like a spiritual father for me for years. Even if we didn't really know each other, we've been working together on several projects. But the 2 other ones are Harald Thies and Jos de Gruyter, who are present tonight, and Nathaniel Mellors, who is present as well. This work is 10 Weingart from 2007, and it's relevant for me on various levels to associate this with the work of cantor in this context. This video work was shot in a sort of utopian building from the 1970s in Belgium, a complex that fell into disuse after the post-war boom. And Thies and de Gruyter used it to sort of form similar questionings as the Dead Class, in my opinion. This video is very enigmatic, it's almost silent, and it presents a series of silent actions in which the characters, in fixed poses, with clumsy gestures, empty gazes, observe one another without almost uttering a word. In Nathaniel Mellors' Our House project, like in a television series, there is a different trauma. It tells the absurd story of the Maddox-Whitson family whose relationship lurched into madness when a mysterious character named the Object, whose modus operandi is to eat and digest books, turns up in the life.
What's that noise? Oh, sweet divinity. Jesus.
Trance, hysteria, excesses, inversions, types and masks serve to challenge behavioral standards like the active dimension of ritual, which they distrust. Here, as well as in Cantor's work, the theater is in daily life, but also is inside the theater itself, in the sense of a content awareness of the distance created by representations, its codes, and its very standards.
We want the stone of madness.
We want the stone of madness. We want the stone of madness.
We want the stone of madness. We want the stone of madness.
Sorry, darling. Jesus! Begone! Don't make me heave me pies!
So you're Robert Smithson. Yeah, I'm Robert Smithson. I'm an artist. I'm dead. I'm going to talk about my art, also about museums, about culture in general, about some of my drawings. I don't know, somebody's going to sing some questions at me, and I'm going to answer them.
Absolutely. Very well. Oh, very funny. I was more or less 7 years old. It was the mid-1940s. We lived with my parents in Rutherford. My father decided that it was time to do something with the seashells I would hoard in my room. Actually, it wasn't just shells. There were also insects, rocks, tree bark. I also had a few bee and hornet nests, bracket fungi, and pine cones. That it was especially shells that I collected. I loved them. I was in awe of their spiral shapes. It was like small architecture, like tiny houses, town districts from Mars. I would spend hours studying them. The museum is probably still there underground, exactly where it should be. All that was put in order ended up in a tomb, doomed to decay. Thinking about the death of mausoleums, where things become fossilized, excites me. That is why I consider the Museum of Art in the suburbs to be my first fully conscious work of art. Your actions against the landscape and works related to language seem to be linked by means of a drawing from 1966 titled The Dumbstruck. Oh, yeah. It reminds me of an archaeological excavation site. It seems to suggest that the natural elements, the mountain ranges, the ravines, reservoirs, etc., are just like architecture, letters in a landscape coming together to create words and sentences while their disintegration is a semantic one. Oh, well, actually, I'm happy you mentioned this work. Oh, good, yes. Well, the Dumbstruck was created soon after my return to art in 1965. 1965, yeah, that's right. 1965, after a 2-year break. For some time, I did not want to make art.
I'd like to introduce Władek Chłopicki, who invented the genre which is known as carrot jokes. Well, maybe you talk a little bit about how the genre of carrot jokes kind of migrated from or how it developed within the humor research community, and then how it migrated from the humor research community into the literary fields.
Well, then, when this caught on, I must say, in a way, because then we actually started playing a little bit with this idea and try to develop something which would become more and more complicated and complex, and we sort of made it into our pastime to think of how difficult you can make it and how incomprehensible you can make it. And then the whole idea spread actually to the literary community, to the literary scholars. So they decided that they would play with it themselves and see poetry in it, and then it really developed quite widely and influenced the community at large.
Maybe just for people who aren't familiar with it, I thought it perhaps good to just introduce the history the history of humor research. I'd like to introduce Dorota Brzozowska, who's at Opola University in the Polish philology department, also a linguist. And maybe if you can just tell us a little bit about the history of humor research and lead us into a discussion of the notion of script opposition.
Hello. History of humor research is really long, I would say. So it comes back to the Aristotle times when the Aristotle gave the first kind of definition, or maybe there were some previously known ones, but not that they stayed into the research area. But the first definition was that something we could look at someone who's doing something wrongly or having some kind of accident, let's say, and it could be funny. It's funny, but only to a certain extent. If it occurs that the person is really hurt, then it's not funny any longer. And from this simple definition, a lot of philosophers were developing their own ideas.
This carrot joke is what's known as a mistake joke or a jug joke, as in something that's been jugged, justed, or over tilt. So you'll notice that those scarred over lacerations there where the joke has been ravaged by a lexical virus, which a pathogen, which has metastasized its thematic content, and continuously permuting it over its lifespan. So while the joke originally concerned the history of the jug, the earthen jug, after several iterations, it started to address the ways in which objects can be used as decoys to set actions at odds with themselves in a jug-to-jug earthiness. So, two jugs are walking down the street in Cairo, jugs of this and that, and mistook at birth, part of a low utopia of turning tables to get the wind moving. And all of a sudden, these leather straps on the jugs get pulled at from a balcony 3 stories above, setting them in an ancient sort of dirt treadmill, the jugs continuing to walk, but only digging themselves deeper into the earth. Who's pulling the straps? Who's pulling the straps? Said the one jug to the next. Well, I'll tell you who's pulling the straps. If you have the courage to tell me, what spaces do objects fill? What information punctures those spaces? And what the hell this speculum is doing in my moral cavity?
Maybe we need some fruit to balance it, yes? Something that's nicer, that's softer, that's more juicy, that's more like sweet, Yes, that's more feminine, I would say, because obviously you could see that it's definitely, you know, the male thing, those carrot jokes. Yes. So yeah. So then I was looking for some ideas and
so stop dangling. Now we need the joke.
And then I thought that there are definitely some raspberries, nice raspberries, and nice raspberry jokes growing somewhere. Yeah, they must be there, like, because they are much nicer. They are really sweet. Yes, they are juicy. They are very delicate. Quite opposite. Yes, if we are talking about the oppositions, there should be this harmony. There should be this balance. Yes, so something that's so fragile. You couldn't store those, you know, raspberries for ages. You could just, they are best if you eat them right away. Yes, if you store them for, you could make a jam or something, but yeah, marmalade, oh, I don't know. It's not, it wouldn't be the same, yes, but with the carrot it's simpler.
You were working with non-professional actors, yes?
Yeah, that was a big challenge which we encountered during the making of the last film with the puppets. Because when you have a human which you take in a close-up, there is still something happening. Even when it's completely silent, you feel a kind of tension or unease or other things. But with the puppets it was so silent. They didn't say anything, so we had to find, which took us quite some time, we had to find a way to make them alive. It was another process than with the real people, actually.
So now you are working with the real people mostly?
Mostly with the real people, and then the two last videos, Das Vlog, and another one with puppets.
And the next one will be a combination with puppets and real people.
And you like the objects?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I don't know. What about you, Harold?
Yeah. I also like them. Huh? Yeah.
But we threw them all in the garbage.
Really? So this is love, short, quick love.
Quick love, yes.
Yeah.
But intense. Huh?
Very opportunistic. Make a statement like that and then throw it all away.
Take one of the handkerchiefs. In this case, I'm going to use the red one, and you push it into the top of your fist like that, well down into the top of your fist. So anyway, this is the preparation. Push that handkerchief. I have to try not to do these digressions because I've only got half an hour. How the trick is done. So keep that hand closed. Then you come on with the blue handkerchief. Take the blue handkerchief, push it down into the top of your fist like that. As you do so, very carefully pull the red one out the other side. Very simple, isn't it? Blue handkerchief in the top there, red one out there. A little tip though, if you do decide to do this trick, try not to talk too much during it. A lot of magicians spoil this with a lot of patter. Yeah,
So actually, yeah, if you do, never show the two handkerchiefs separately, because then it's obvious how the trick is done. Put the blue handkerchief in the top there, pull the red one out there, push that right down into your fist like that. Then you can put that away, stand back and wait for the applause. Thank you. Now, and I wondered what could be in this suit. Now this is the other thing before. I hear this voice. And it appears to be coming. It appears to be coming from the suitcase. Who could it be? A person in the suitcase. I am Bertolt Brecht. Bertolt Brecht. No, not Bertolt Brecht. Bertolt Brecht. Oh, Bertolt Brecht, the great German socialist playwright. That's right. So can you help me do the magic tricks? Help you do magic tricks? Yeah, help me with the alienating my magic tricks. Well, look, I tell you something. If you want to be a magician, you should do magic tricks. Do good magic tricks. Don't just stand here talking about it. The truth is concrete. The truth is I like that. The truth is concrete. But the problem is, where do I find the truth? Well, you look at the world around you, and then you decide what is true. Also, you could use the classic texts. The classic texts, yeah. What do you mean classic Marxist texts? Yeah, you could do that, yeah. So I take classic Marxist text. Classic Marxist text. I'm not talking about Romeo and Juliet here. Okay. So I take a classic Marxist text and adapt it into a magic trick. Well, all right, if you want to do that. Okay. So, that's brilliant. I will do exactly that. Okay. So can I go back in the box? Yeah, you can go back in the box. And so I'm going to finish by just showing you what I'm going to use this newspaper now to illustrate the the history of left-wing ideas, because the idea of socialism, as I understand it and as I try to interpret it, is summed up in that basic old slogan from Marx: from each according to his or her ability, to each according to their needs. But the point is, it celebrates that organisation that Karl Marx set up, was one of the people who set up the International Working Men's Association. And the thing about that organisation was that it united the whole of the left, but then within a few months, it had split between the anarchists and the socialists. And that's been the history of the left. It's been one split after another, hasn't it? It's been, organisation. And because after that there was the Second International, and then there was the Second International, and then the Third International, which some of you will remember from which was the sort of Communist Party. And then, of course, the Fourth International, which was the Trotskyist organisation. And all these little organisations, one after another, and you've ended up with, sorry, lose those bits. Ended up with all these little organisations on the left, not always working very well together, and it's it's been quite if only it's not very effective like that. If only we could just say the magic words: mass action for a radical what was it? Mass action for a radical transformation of society, from a society based primarily on profit to a society based on human need, and get back to the way it was. Just a minute. There's a little bit missing there, isn't there? That's just come from there. See, there's always one little group that won't go along with it. So, thanks very much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Witaj świecie. A przewracał się.
Pozwólcie, że przed waszymi oczami utworzył się obraz.
On the top of the mountain, focus on the ski guy. From the top of the mountain, focus on the ski guy. From the top of the mountain. They said the shepherd